Assalamualaikum, salam budaya. My name is Amory. I am the representative of the SGD B3. Today, our group will present about the effects of ketogenic diet on carbohydrate metabolism. So, in our group, there are Gede Ngurah Pratama, Gusti Frangipani, Angelique, Cynthia, Caroline, Chintami, Gemma, Masella, Satria, Wedananta, Irrene, Carla, Audithia, Nadya, Zalfa, Aqilah, Huliana Lim, Amory, Tyas, Parahita, Wirawan, Stephanie, Violina, Iputu, Artika, Drama, Yoga. Please enjoy our presentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Chintami Masella and my student identification number is 2002511070. I would like to tell you about the background in our student project. As we know that in the era of pandemic COVID-19 these days, which did not trend its end to this day, there are plethora of health problems that are caused by the lack of mobility in human body. One of them including the enhancements of obesity. And according to the risk assessed over here, the prevalence of the obese populations, especially in Indonesia itself, increased from 14.8% to 21.8%. And obesity around the world is responsible for 4.7 premature deaths over the world, which is 4 times road accident casualties and 5 times HIV/AIDS casualties. So these days, our society has been looking for the best methods or the most effective ways of diets, either from the way they eat something or they doing any exercises to lose weight. So what is the answer from that? Okay, according to British Journal of Nutrition's ketogenic dietary carbs have been shown that this is the best way or the best method of diet. By all means, ketogenic diet is an irreversible fat after diet. When you eat something, most people have confessed that they will regain the weight that have been lost from the diet methods in a short period of time. So the weight will come back later in a short period of time also. But most studies with endurance athletes have shown that ketogenic diet can be a major metabolic fuel and carbs utilizations is markedly reduced during moderate but strenuous exercise. Thus, the justification for a low carbs, high fat diet in endurance sports is to use a more concentrated fuel source to slow the rate at which carbs are used during exercises. With this in mind, a new concept for enhancing it can be created, with the hypothesis that a low carbs, high fat diet will increase the rate of free fatty acid metabolism during exercise while maintaining muscle glycogen for later states. And even especially for the more intense portions, the major drawback in fat loading is the fact that per unit of time, more ATP or energy can be generated from carbs than from fat oxidations. Therefore, the metabolisms of our body during the ketogenic diet will be discussed in our student project.
Hi, my name is Satria Wedananta and my student identification number is 2002511071. Now, after listening to the background that my friend has presented just now, I would like to tell you about what exactly are we going to talk about in this presentation. So, the first one, the objective of the student project. So, what are the objectives of the student project? Well, as shown on the screen, there are 3 objectives of the student project. The first one is to understand the types and processes of metabolism in the human body. The second one is to understand the common types of diets and specifically discuss about ketogenic diet, including its phases, advantages, and disadvantages. The third one is to understand the effects, contraindications, monitoring, and complications of ketogenic diet on metabolism. Now, as for the program formulation, this student project is going to discuss about ketogenic diet and its relation to metabolism happening inside the human body. Now, as for the benefits, it is split into 2 categories. The first one is the theoretical benefit, and the second one is the practical benefit. The theoretical benefit is to increase the knowledge and understanding of ketogenic diet, starting from the metabolism that is occurring in the human body, the advantages and the disadvantages of ketogenic diet, its effect, contraindication, monitoring, and the complication of ketogenic diet on the metabolism. Furthermore, the student project was expected to serve as a reference for research, especially research that is related to ketogenic diet and its relation to metabolism in the human body. The second benefit is practical benefit. So practically, through the understanding of ketogenic diet, the readers is expected to apply their knowledge to formulate a proper diet according to their needs.
Hello, my name is Jason Amory. My student identification number is 2002511081. Today, I will present about the carbohydrate metabolism. So carbohydrates are one of the most important nutrients needed by humans because carbohydrates function to produce energy needed by the human body. There are three main classes of carbohydrates: monosaccharides, polysaccharides, and oligosaccharides. The adenine triphosphate, or ATP, is a source of energy for cells, which is mostly made up of carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. One way to form ATP is through burning carbohydrates, especially glucose and fructose. This combustion is carried out by anaerobic glycolysis process in the cytoplasm and through the Krebs cycle in the mitochondria. So glycolysis itself is the breakdown of glucose. It is divided into aerobic glycolysis and anaerobic glycolysis. What distinguishes the two is the presence of oxygen in the process. Aerobic and aerobic glycolysis also have different rates and end products. The advantage of aerobic glycolysis is the amount of energy that can be produced, because pyruvate formation is 25 times faster than its oxidation. So the formation of ATP can be made 2 times faster by converting the glycogen to lactic acid, instead of the complete oxidation of glycogen, while the advantage of glycolysis is the large amount of use of glycogen. For the same amount of energy, glycolysis can only last for 1 out of 12 part of the complete combustion of the amount of glycogen. So the only source of energy that the body can use without using the oxygen is carbohydrates. Glucose derived from glycogen is already in a phosphorylation state, which causes glycogen stores in cells in an aerobic state to be the best source of energy. An aerobic process can carry large amount of energy faster than oxidative processes. However, at a slower rate of use, the oxidative process can continue as long as energy reserve, especially lipids, are available. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nadya, Zalfa, Aqilah, and my student identification number is 20025111079. In this occasion, I would like to explain about the protein metabolism. The protein is operationally a structure for placing reactive chemical groups into certain three-dimensional patterns for and controlling the way in which they are achieved. In the body, we have 1 till 2% of protein is broken down every day, and about 75 to 80% of the released amino acids will be reused in the formation of new protein synthesis. And the remaining nitrogen will then be catabolized into urea in mammals, and the carbon framework will for metabolic compounds. Human needs about 30 gram to 60 gram protein every day, or the equivalent in the form of free amino acids in the maintaining health. Protein will be broken down into amino acids by proteins and peptides in cells, then breaking in the internal peptide bonds of the protein by intercellular protease, a peptide compound, and is formed. Furthermore, the peptide will be broken down into free amino acids by peptidase, and endopeptidase will break the internal peptide bonds to form shorter peptides. Then aminopeptidase and carboxypeptidase will release amino acids respectively in the N-terminal group and the C in these peptides. Protein digestion, as mentioned above, is for intercellular and extracellular protein, where digestion does not require ATP. Proteins that have short lifespan are abnormal, then breakdown occurs in the cytosol and require ATP or ubiquitin. Amino acids formed from the catabolism of the protein will be their metabolism into ammonia and carbon skeleton. Then the carbon skeleton will participate in the citric acid cycle, or TCA, and the gluconeogenesis. Meanwhile, the ammonia will undergo synthesis and form urea or new amino acids. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Gusti Frangipani Vedanti. My student identification number is 20025111064. Today I'd like to tell you about lipid metabolism. Lipids are a heterogeneous groups of compounds containing carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, which we can see in this picture. Lipids circulating throughout the body comes from two sources, from food and from the liver. Lipids are important to our body because of their roles in various metabolic functions. Lipids are metabolic fuels to provide energy to body cells, to form insulators to reduce body heat, and components of cell membranes. The liver plays an important role in lipid metabolism in the body. The synthesis process of triglycerides, phospholipids, cholesterol, and lipoproteins occurs in the liver. The liver has a unique role in lipid metabolism because of its ability to form ketone compounds as a source of energy for various organs of the body. Fatty acids that are synthesized in the liver are esterified into triglycerides, phospholipids, and cholesterol esters. Fatty acid and triglycerides will be released and oxidized to the lymph tissue and esterified again. Thus, the liver will produce fatty acids to be used as a source of energy for body tissues or stored in fat tissue. The first one is synthesis of triglycerides. Triglycerides are derived from the glycolysis process. Triglycerides are the result of partial conversion of DHAP catalyzed by glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase together with NADH. Triglycerides can be formed by direct phosphorylation of glycerol by ATP introduced with many glycerol kinase enzymes, such as liver, intestine, or kidney. The body can synthesize triglycerides directly for DHAP. The second one, phospholipid synthesis. Choline or ethylamine must be activated in order to bind with glycerol, which carry out by ATP, then continue using CTP and produce choline CDP or ethylamine CDP. These compounds will later form phosphatidylcholine or phosphatidylethylamine when reacting with 1,2-deacylglycerols. The second one, phosphatidyllinositol and phosphatidylserine synthesis starts when phosphatidylinositol activate with CTP, which will form CDP-deacylglycerol. Inositol or serine will bind directly with these compounds and form the compounds concerned. The third one, cholesterol synthesis. It begins with the mevalonate formation stage, where two acetyl-CoA molecules will condense to form acetoacetyl-CoA, followed by acetyl-CoA binding and the formation of E-hydroxybeta-methyl-glutaryl-CoA. The next one, mevalonate will undergo phosphorylation 3 times with ATP to form mevalonate 3-phospho-5-pyrophosphate and undergo carbosylation, then undergo 2 additions of isopentenyl phosphorate and are reduced with NADPH to form squalene. And the last one, squalene undergoes silicylation and hydroxylation. This process forms lanosterol that lose 3 methyl groups and experience a reduction in one of its double bonds by NADH so that there is a transfer of the double bond to another chain to form cholesterol.
Hello, my name is Huliana Lim. My ID number is 2002511080. Now I'd like to tell you about the types of diet and ketogenic diet. Diet is restricting the amount and or type of food. According to World Health Organization, a healthy diet can help to prevent malnutrition and non-communicable disease. The exact composition of healthy and balanced diet, it depends on individuals. Next, we have types of diet. The first one is Mediterranean diet. This practically used for Mediterranean people, and then this diet is recognized by UNESCO as a cultural heritage. And then we have low-fat diet. This diet encourages saving in fat consumptions of less than 30% of total calories. Next, we have vegetarian diet. This can be defined as a diet with food derived from plants such as beans, bread, corn, and potatoes. And this vegetarian diet has a rule of not eating meat, fish, and poultry. Next, we have detox diet. This diet is used to remove toxins and poisons in the body, and this usually synonymous or well-known of drinks and juices. Next, we have low carb diet or LCD. This diet has the principle of reducing carbo and replacing them with protein and fat. Next, we have ketogenic diet. This diet is the main focus on this student project. This diet encourages a drastic reduction of carbohydrates and replacing them with fat. We have 4 types of ketogenic diet. Standard one, it means they have a low carbohydrates, low protein, and high fat. And cyclical keto diet is they have a period, such as 5 days we have low carb, and then 2 days we have high carb. And next we have targeted keto diet. It means we can add additional carbo when we have an exercise. And then we have high protein diet. Is kind of same with standard. The difference is it has a low carbo, high protein, and high fat. Thanks. Next.
My name is Iputu Artika Dharma Yoga. My student identification number is 2002511084. Now I would like to explain 3 topics about ketogenic diet. The first is the pace of ketogenic diet. There are 3 phases. The first is induction. At this stage, our body will adapt to use fat as an energy source by reducing carbohydrate intake until 25 grams per day and increase the fat intake. This stage will last about 2 until 3 days. And then next stage is consolidation. This stage we are allowed to consume vegetables and vegetables protein sources. This consolidation stage is carried out for 1 week until 1 month. And last stage is maintenance. This stage, our body resistance starts to strengthen. And this stage, we are allowed to consume the fruits. And then the other topics is advantage and disadvantage of ketogenic diet. The first advantage is it can be used for diabetic therapy because it can reduce blood glucose levels and then insulin resistance and also reduce levels of fasting insulin. And also it can reduce the risk of developing cancer because cancer cells have an inability to metabolize ketone bodies, so cancer cells will not be able to obtain energy and proliferation will occur. And then the disadvantage is inhibits body muscle building because there are restrictions of insulin production, and also it is difficult to maintain because it needs more adaptation to use fat as main energy sources. And then the last topic is what should we avoid in ketogenic diet? First is consume excessive amounts of fat, especially is saturated and trans fats because it will increase bad cholesterol and it is not good for our health, for our body. And then consume excess protein because it will prevent our body from reaching ketosis condition.
Hello everyone, my name is Angelique Cynthia Caroline. My student identification number is 2002511068. In this slide, I will tell you about the effects of the ketogenic diet on the body metabolism. As we know, the ketogenic diet is a type of diet that reduces the consumption of carbohydrate and consumes more foods that contain adequate protein and high fat. Normally, the body requires a glucose intake of 50 grams per day, and if it's not fulfilled, the body will look for other ways to meet these energy needs. So, this condition can cause the body to reduce the secretion of insulin and to maintain its glucose homeostasis. It will enter the catabolic state. Catabolic state is a condition where the patient's body starting to break down the nutrients or the storage energy. However, when we reduce the carbohydrate consumption for a long time, it can have an impact on changes in the body's metabolism, and the body becomes a condition called ketosis. Ketosis produces ketones. Ketones are molecules that are produced by the body when there is not enough insulin to convert glucose into energy. So, instead, our bodies will destroy fat tissue as a new source of energy. In the summary, in the short term, this ketogenic diet condition seems good and can be applied in reducing the patient's weight quickly, but it can be bad for the patient if it's done in a long term. It can cause the low blood of sugar or hypoglycemia, and it can lead to seizures.
Hello, my name is Stephanie with student number 2002511083. So the contraindications for the ketogenic diet can simply be defined as cases or patient's condition that need to be noticed or even be a prohibition while doing some activity, in this case, ketogenic diet. The first condition is diabetic type 2. Ketogenic diet makes our body produce ketone bodies in ketosis state. In diabetic patients, especially type 2, there could be an overproduction of ketone bodies which causes ketoacidosis, which make the blood become acidic. If the acidic blood didn't be cured fast, it could affect the circulation physiologically. Second one is diabetic type 1. Similar to the previous, diabetic type 1 patients potentially get the negative effect of ketogenic diet if it's not controlled or monitored properly. Depends on research retrospective and prospectively, diabetic type 1 patients had the potential to have increasing hypoglycemia risk. Next one is pregnancy. The ketone bodies produced in blood could potentially demolish the fat tissues, which affects embryo development. Moreover, this condition could lead to spina bifida, a condition where the spinal cord and nervous system aren't well developed. Next one is breastfeeding woman. The ketogenic diet on breastfeeding women could lead to dehydration. A breastfeeding woman could get tired easily in this condition. Another important thing should be noticed. The ketone bodies produced in several cases lead to lactic ketoacidosis. Next is liver failure. Per control and monitor ketogenic diet on liver failure patients could worsen the liver condition. Several points should be importantly noticed is consumption of adequate proteins and calories. Next is ketogenic diet with SGLT2 inhibitor. This is an oral drug that is used to cure the type 2 diabetes. The usage of this drug with ketogenic diet could lead to not only urinary tract infections, yet increasing hypoglycemia and ketoacidosis risk. Next is cardiac arrhythmias. Ketogenic diet affects the ECG diagram, although not really significant. The increase of P-wave dispersion, cardiomyopathy, and abnormal QT interval are some examples of selenium deficiency in cardiac problems. The next one is respiratory failure. Several research have verified that patients with respiratory failure are not totally safe to do a ketogenic diet. In research that studies the connection of respiratory problems and ketogenic diet, it is found that forced respiratory volume increased and airway resistance decreased. Hyperuricemia and dyslipidemia. In early ketogenic diet, these problems can be clearly noticed from patients due to the increase of protein and fats consumption. However, the nutrients consumed should be noticed to avoid future risks that potentially appear.
Hello, my name is Ngurah Pratama with student ID number 225111061. In this presentation, I will cover about monitoring and management ketogenic diet. Starting from the use of diet as a treatment for epilepsy patients and control seizures, especially those studied in a sample of pediatric patients, the use of diet in suspect patients can bring other side effects apart from its use from the treatment, which is based on restriction of calorie and the protein from a given diet. This is involved in a TCA cycle, especially with ketogenic amino acid that is produced oxaloacetate to fulfill energy need by the patient. From the study by Neil et al. In 2008, obtained that there is a decrease in the average or mean level of body height and weight in the patient from a 3-month to 12-month initiation. This also affects the BMI rate of decrease with the increase in the month of initiation of implementation ketogenic diet. The SD value listed are the value that indicated the difference between individual measurement and the mean value of the referred population as a proportion of the SD of the referred population. The meanest value represents a gradient with the subtraction of each component of the value under study. In this case, the body weight and height of patient included in the study. This means that the body and the weight of the patient is decreasing by the initiation from 3 months to 12 months. That is all for my presentation. Thank you.
My name is Irrene Carla Audithia Pranadiningrum with student identification number 2002511075. The changing of diet drastically can lead to individual organ damages. There are two kinds of damages. The first one is the short-term complications that can occur in several days to weeks. They are nausea, vomiting, headache, fatigue, insomnia, the difficulty in exercising, and constipation, or also known as kettle flu. Whereas the long-term complications that can occur are, the first one is the changing of the vital signs rate. The changing of body mass and composition is found in this diet, including lower respiratory exchange rate and creatine kinase range, higher heart rate and oxygen inhaling in a resting state, and the change of insulin and cortisol concentration. The second one is gastrointestinal symptoms, including nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. And the last one is kidney stones in patients with epilepsy symptoms. The use of acidosis in ketogenic diets is suspected as the cause of the formation of kidney stones.
Hello, my name is Tyas Parahita Wirawan and my student ID number is 2002511082. I would like to present the conclusion of our student project. There are three kinds of metabolism in our body: carbohydrate metabolism, protein metabolism, and lipid metabolism. Each metabolism has its own process and byproduct. Those metabolisms are influenced by various factors such as our diet. Diet is a special way in regulating the portion and kinds of one's food intake. According to the World Health Organization, a healthy diet helps to prevent malnutrition and NCDs. Based on its characteristic and function, diet can be divided into 6 types. One of them is ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet is a drastic reduction of carbohydrate consumption. It has 3 main phases, starting with induction, consolidation, and maintenance. This diet is effective in losing weight, overcoming type 2 diabetes, and reducing risk of cancer. Meanwhile, the disadvantages of implementing this diet are inhibited body muscle building, and for some people, it is difficult to be maintained. Ketogenic diet also affects our metabolism. The side effects of this strict diet are growth failure, vitamin and mineral deficiency. In some cases, like pregnant women, people with liver failure, and arrhythmias, the implementation of ketogenic diet must be reconsidered. Short-term complications of ketogenic diet are nausea, headache, fatigue, and kettle flu, while the long-term complications are changes in vital signs rate, gastrointestinal symptoms, and kidney stone. So that is the end of our student project presentation. Thank you.